the next topic as well we have in the report is circularity includes IT management throughout the life cycle of an IT product. So we talked a lot about what you can do when you procure new products, how you should think when it comes to refurbishment, repairing, upgradability, and those components. But we get a lot of questions rolling in on e-waste here. Do you see any trends?
More like, what shall we have, do we have here? How do you actually work with e-waste? Do you think about that? What shall we do? Making the material more circular? Is there something included in TCO certified? And how do the other ones think about that issue?
Because a lot of this comes down to design as well. When you design a product, you need to already think about the full life cycle. I don't know if Andreas or Siddharth want to react to this, having
I can go ahead.
Yes, Andreas, we start with you.
Yeah, so of course it needs to happen in the design phase. It's key. So if you put a lot of hazardous chemicals, for example, flame retardants and whatnot inside of the products, it will make it much harder to recycle them or even have them accepted for reuse further down the line. If something pops up along the line saying, hey, this chemical which is inside of this product is very hazardous, no one will want to touch that product. So it will go out of the loop directly. But if we think about this in the design phase, and if we strive towards safer alternatives when it comes to chemicals, we can achieve better recycling, I think, and better reuse as well.
Thank you. Yeah, Gabriella.
That's also something that you're asking, which phase is most important to actually work with? Someone wrote something about maximum my effort. If you look at the
where can you have the
life
highest
cycle
impact?
phase, exactly. So from that perspective, what
perhaps
would you say?
Siddharth, you want to reflect on that. Where do you see in the kind of life cycle of an IT product you can have the most impact as a kind of consumer or purchaser?
Both.
Yeah, I think the answer is quite clear, and I think it was also given in the presentation of Andreas that the maximum impact for IT products you can achieve when you target the design and the production phase. So, so the key for reducing the environmental impact, but also reducing for the costs, is to prolong the use, which we have been saying all over the time. And maybe I can use this opportunity to clarify one myth which exists in this whole topic of circularity and circular economy, because a lot of people, when they talk about circular economy or circularity, they automatically think that we are talking about recycling. Yeah. And this is definitely not the case. Recycling is, of course, a part of the circularity debate, but this is third level of waste hierarchy. Yeah. Before that, you have the waste prevention and the reuse and the refurbishment and the repair, which comes before the recycling. And why I'm saying that, because when it comes to the embedded value of products and materials in terms of environmental goods and services, but also in terms of costs, in the recycling process, even now today, even in with high tech that is available, a lot of resources from these IT equipments get, because there are losses in the collection are until now unavoidable. Then there are losses in the pre-processing and the processing, and of course during the recovery of the metals. So our research has shown that beyond few metals which are, or raw materials which are available in the in a product like notebook, very few are recovered to a certain percentage. So we can recover a little bit of gold, maybe a little bit of silver, little bit of palladium, because they have some economic value as well. Cobalt can be recovered, which is in the batteries, up to 60-70% in countries where the collection systems are working and the processing facilities are there. So even there, the rest of the metals and the shares which is available is still getting lost. You know, so we are losing the value of products if we are focusing too much on recycling, because this is a general perception that people think, and also a lot in the public authorities we have been working with, that, oh, we already have a developed system of waste electronic appliances, and so the recycler will take care of everything. And this is definitely not the case, and that is why we are saying that in order to retain the embedded value of the products, you have to think ahead So recycling can be the last option when the products cannot be used anymore, let's say after reuse and repair has been done maybe a couple of times. But the best strategy would be to focus on the extension of the lifetime, the use time in the public authorities. Yeah.
Johan, did you want to reflect on this?
Yeah, thank you. I completely agree with Siddharth. The explanation that we should not focus on recycling or on the waste management part of any product. In the same time, I don't agree with what he started with, because for me, if you think of circular economy, look at it actually as a circle, and a circle has no beginning and no end. Circular economy for me is a system with four major domains, like your resources, where they come from, are they secondary, etc. Then you have design and production. Will you design your product for repair, for disassembly, for refurbishment? Then production without waste, because if that's possible, that's what you should do. We have a lot of waste in production. Then the third domain would be the use phase. So that's about procurement, about use, about reuse, about getting these business models into practice, the longest valuable use of your product. And then the fourth domain would be collection and recycling. And I fully agree, that's end of life. End of valuable life, maybe. And circular economy will never start, like I think Andreas said. It will never arise from one action on one point. You need to move and change in all these four domains to actually create a closed loop. You'll never close a loop on your own. But in the same time, from procurement point of view, you can set your first step. You can take your initiative, invite the rest of the supply chain to join, to actually try to not only make a theoretical study about the circular notebook, but actually to trigger HP to make one and to sell them. Well, I can talk a lot about this, but I think for now this is what I wanted to say.
I think that's a very good point. I see there are a lot of hands in the air again, but something that I take away from when I hear you talk is that many circular solutions are already in place. Now we just have to start using them. And this is also one of the key themes of the report. Something interesting that Søren Ehrenholm says in his interview in the report is that patient is my best friend and my worst enemy. And this, I think, links nicely to the topic, because when it comes to circular procurement, it's key to actually get started. No one can do everything in the first step, but to make sure if you do something, you keep nudging and you keep pushing. I see a lot of questions are also relating to this in the webinar. What are the small little things that we can do hands-on here and now to get started with circular procurement?